am blessed. That things are going good for me. I am doing this for God to show him how much I love him. There's nothing you can do for me. I don't want nothing. I'm going to keep on serving you because it's in my heart. We are called to have a heart of servitude. To love one another is to help one another. So he says, Gehazi, he said, listen, man, I don't know what to do for you. You know, she don't want nothing, man. But God sees beyond the facade that we give. He sees behind the disguise. Because even though she didn't want nothing, she desired something. Even though she worked not to gain, but to help, she still desired something. How I know? Gehazi says, listen, she has no son. I don't care what the world says, what social media says, but all women, whether you're gay, lesbian, whatever you want to call yourself in this day and age, all women at a point in time in their life, you don't gotta admit it, want to be married and loved and want to have children. Yeah, it's a painful situation. I don't know. I don't want to be a woman. I seen that, man. Boy, whew. Jesus. The Bible says that when a woman has, when she is to have birth, she is to die because she loses so much blood. The agony and stress in the body, she's supposed to die. But grace is given unto her to bring forth a child. For pains and tribulation should you give when you give birth. God said unto Eve. So he says to her, she has one. So every woman wants a son or a child. I don't care what he said, oh, I can't be pregnant, I can't do all that. It's a desire. It's a desire. We all have a hidden desire that God knows about. He knew that Abraham wanted a son. Even though everything in Abraham's life was good, Abraham lacked one thing: a son. A son. Moses had everything in his life. He had the kingdom, he had the palace, he was good, but he lacked peace. He lacked comfort. Everything was good in David's life. He came from Jesse, he's the ruler of Jesse. He came from there, but he wanted to be great. He wanted to be a leader. No matter what you say, you have a hidden desire that God knows about. God sees you. This woman had a heart of gratitude. And Elijah said, I cannot leave this house without blessing her. Okay? So she was just the first time. So Gehazi said she has no son, and her husband is old. Meaning that she is young. Now, old in the Bible doesn't mean like 60. Husband probably probably had early 40s, late 30s, early 40s. He's probably rich. He's probably wealthy. She's beautiful. She has to be, because most rich old guys don't date. I'm sorry. So she's young, in her 20s, and he says, "Call her back in." And the Bible says that when he called her back in, she stood in the doorway. He said, about this time next year, you will have not a daughter, but a son. He told Abraham the same thing. By this time next year, you will have a son. You are a representative of God. You represent God while you are down here. You represent God while you're down here. You have the authority to bless somebody. The fact that she lacked a son, Elijah said, next year you should have a son. And she says, no. Do not lie to me, man of God. Do not lie to your maidservant. So Elijah and Gehazi left, and by the time next year came, she had a son. She has a son. She really wanted the son, but she was afraid that I don't want to be lied to. Maybe the doctor's report said something. Maybe it said something. Maybe people told her, maybe it was something in her family where they couldn't have kids. And she's afraid to have a son, afraid to have a child. Okay? So she gets this child, years go by. One day, while the father was in the fields, while the reapers were in the field, the boy went out there to meet his father. And understand that the boy is young. How I know he's young? Because he's out there with the reapers. He's out there with the reapers, and he chases his father, and he says, "Father, Father, my head hurts. My head hurts." So the father says, take him to his mother. And he goes to the mother, and she lays him on her knees, her lap, and she rocks him until noontime, the Bible says. And he dies. Many believe that the boy had a sunstroke. His head was hurting, banging migraine, and she dies. What do you do when you lose what you love? Better yet, what do you do when you lose what God has told you is yours? How do you deal with that? You didn't ask God for it, but God said you can have it. What do you do? How do you deal? How do you deal with that loss? God blessed her, and yet the blessing now becomes a curse. God has given unto her, now God has taken away from her. How do I deal with loss when the only thing that I lost is what God has given me? See, I can lose a dollar bill. I'm fine with that. But if God gives me $100 when I had no money or when I had nothing, and I lose it, how can I deal with that? How do I deal with it? How? There is something in your life that you have lost, that God has given unto you, and you're trying to figure out, how do I lose? At times we lose what God has given unto us without warning. There was no warning from God that the boy would die. There was no warning from God that you will lose your house, you will lose your job. There was no warning from God that you lose your marriage, that you lose your health. There was no warning yet. It was lost. It was gone from you, vanished from you. We have been taught that whatever God gives us stays forever. The church has impregnated in us. They have banked us in the head that what God gives you, it stays forever. That is a lie. For when we lose things, when God gives us things, at times we lose some things. Paul says everything we see is only temporary. Yeah, her son died due to head trauma, which she may believe is essential. He's out of surgery. So how did he deal with it? There are people in the Bible who dealt with loss in the wrong way. Who dealt with loss in a wrong way. When Adam lost his innocence, he blamed Eve. He says, the woman that you have given me is the reason for me eating the fruit. When Job loses everything, he says, I want to die. It would have been better had I not been born. Cursed is the day they told my father that I was born. Noah's wife, when God told her and told her to leave the city, and never look back. When she heard the screams and the cries, she refused to move forward. She turned around and turned to a pillar of salt. So how do you deal with loss in your life? They have taught me last week we talked about dealing with guilt and how people told us, just give it to God and God will be your way. Oh, what's it? I know 20 minutes. Okay, excuse me, I'm sorry, y'all. Talk about giving it to God, let God deal with it, and we'll be fine, and all kind of things. And I told you last week that was a lie. Yet it was right. But how do you deal with loss? Do we deal with loss by drinking and driving, getting high, being promiscuous, doubting ourselves, contemplating suicide, getting into depression, taking prescribed medication, going out taking what we have lost, kidnapping children because we can't have children, holding up, killing doctors because they can't cure us, robbing homes because we have no home, carjacking cars because we have no car. How do we deal with loss? How do we deal with loss? This woman had a right to be mad at God because God gave it unto her. And then what God gave her, God took. It wasn't hers, but her attachment to it gave her power of eternity over it. So the Bible says that when the boy dies, the woman immediately takes the boy up and she lays him on the bed of the prophet and closes the door. And I want you to understand that this woman, not only is she a helpful servant, not only does she respect God, but she understands the power of God. This reminds me of the Hebrew boys who said to Nebuchadnezzar, we will not worship your golden image. Our God is able to save us regardless of what you say. He can save us, and if he chooses not to save us, so be it. We will not serve your golden image. There are many ways to deal with loss. The first thing she does is she casts her burden. Casts her burden. Casts her burden.